be consistent with what we've done in the past. Welcome everybody. I appreciate everybody being here on this um, somewhat awkward, in my opinion, Zoom meeting. I just have gotten very accustomed to seeing everybody and rushing around trying to get refreshments. I just got myself a power bar, and that was the end of it. So, um, but I do welcome everybody, and we'll go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be performing a test of consensus on the draft plan. I appreciate John getting the draft plan in its entirety out to us, along with the executive summary and the one pager or two pagers, as it were. And hope everybody has had the opportunity to read through that. Like I say, it was nice to see the draft plan all in one piece. We'll also be going over the RBC membership and the term limits. I'm pretty sure my term's up. We've been doing this for 4 years, correct? So maybe not.
Cute.
And we'll also go over the May 29th public meeting and presentation, speaker roles. And with that said, everybody's seen the agenda. I hope I can get somebody to make a motion that we approve today's agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Eddie. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Josie is seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Indicate somehow that they're in favor.
Aye.
Tom, you got your work ahead of you. All right, I'm assuming that is passed. All those that said nay? I heard no nays, so we will take that as passed. Well, I guess I will accept a motion that we approve the meeting minutes and summary.
So moved.
I have a motion. So I need to make two corrections on this. Do I wait for the second and then discussion?
I just go ahead and
Yeah, just do them now.
Okay. Tom, just minor things, but on page 2, under the Water SC working meetings, they were April 8th, 9th, and 10th. The document shows page 2 on the draft minutes.
I don't have it in front of me. If you just send me the edits.
And then right below that, it says Melanie has been recognized at Upstate Forever Green event on April 20th. It will be. That will occur next week. So I'll send
and
those
it's the
to
22nd too, not the 20th.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll send those to you. So we had a motion. Did we get a second?
Nope.
Ask for a second.
Casey, it's Jeff. I'll second.
I have a motion and second. I would entertain a vote with the said changes. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any negatives? Hearing none, we will consider those approved. And Tom, I'll send you those corrections in just a moment. All right, as you can see, we've got it on the screen. We have a couple events coming up. Upper Savannah Draft River Basin Plan. Public meeting will be held on April 21st. The next SC Working Group meeting will be on April 24th. We did have a SC Working Group meeting on March 20th that I attended. There was a lot of good discussion in that. A lot of it had to do with conjunctive use that doesn't really impact us as much here in the upstate as it does down on the coast. And that is conjunctive use using groundwater in association with surface water. But I would, that meeting was recorded. I recommend that folks go out and see that if there's an interest. Additionally, on April 3rd, the Surface Water Study Committee had their meeting. There is a recording out on the state website. I tried to get a link to that, but the link didn't go directly to the individual recording. It just went to the main archive. But if you just look for April 3rd meetings, it's the Surface Water Study Committee. I would recommend folks listen to that. It was very interesting. Basically, the committee received a report from Myra Reese with DES. Of course, she's on the committee as well. Additionally, they were getting comments from other groups. Tommy Lavender spoke for the Chamber of Commerce. He had some very interesting comments. Frank Eskridge spoke for the Municipal Association of South Carolina, but as some of y'all know, Frank works for City of Columbia and was also on the Broad River RBC, and he had some interesting comments as well. But the meeting lasted about an hour. There were others that were supposed to talk, but they had to get to I think the House was in session, so they had to break in the meeting right at an hour. So I don't know the date of their next meeting at this time, but I'll get it out to everybody. If anybody knows, I don't know if anybody's on the call that has that schedule, but if they've got it, please share it. But I would recommend everybody go listen to that. If I'm not mistaken, Tommy Lavender is on the Water SC committee, and so some of his comments were directed at that effort. And I like I say, I think you'd find them interesting.
Can you put a link in the chat, Casey, to the recording, just to make it easy for folks?
Like I say, I tried to do it, but it just went to the main area. So I can at least put a link to that, and we'll see what it. Maybe it'll work. The Water SC also had their group of meetings from the 8th, 9th, and 10th. The 8th was down on the coast. The 9th was in Florence, if I'm not mistaken. And the 10th was in Greenville. I was not able to make any of those meetings, but Catherine was able to join in the Greenville, the 10th meeting, and I would ask that she give her opinion of that.
Yeah, happy to. And looks like Joe's on too. So, I mean, my biggest question is how, I guess the summary notes that are going to come from that meeting, because I did speak to somebody that attended the one on St. Helena Island, and it sounds like they were very much more open house in nature. And so there wasn't a dedicated time, as far as I'm aware, either of them to get up and speak in front of the room as a whole. So a lot of one-on-one conversations kind of happening with DES staff. For the one that was hosted at REWA, there was about a dozen people that came. People kind of left by, I would say, half an hour before the meeting ended. I stayed kind of chatting with the REWA team just so we left it open in case anybody came at the end. But otherwise didn't really get to hear a lot of people's opinions. I did have a one-on-one conversation with a well driller who gave me his contact information and was really passionate about us considering in the future changes in groundwater pulling everywhere across the state, especially in the low country. But he said we should be considering it too, because he said as a well driller, he's behind all of the time and people want more wells and we need to be considering that. So that was the only person that kind of came up to me and said something that he kind of wanted reiterated to our group. So I'm curious, Joe, if you're able to let us know, like, are we gonna be able to see some summary notes of, who attended and how, what the comments were that were collected by DES?
We can definitely provide kind of a copy of sign-in sheets of who attended. As far as summary notes of what was said, really these things were laid out to be, like you said, more open house style events and just encourage networking and, direct question and answers from our team that was there. I don't anticipate really any summary notes coming out of it. A little different than the one that was held back in January where folks got up and talked and we did produce a summary from that. So we were prepared to produce a summary there, but it really didn't lend itself to that. So it was just more of an opportunity to network and discuss.
All right. Casey or Catherine, any other newsworthy items? And Catherine, I've got a slide for the confluence next, but before we get to that, anything else?
Just real quickly. So Water SC has been having some, I guess, peer level or little smaller working or meetings. And there is one with some public water systems on Tuesday, the 22nd of April that I'll be attending as well.
Okay. And Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, the agenda for the April 24th Water SC meeting hasn't been released, but you had mentioned that some of the focus may be water reuse, water cycling. You may have some speakers about it or some folks from the water reuse South Carolina chapter speaking. Is that correct?
That's correct, John.
Yep. So if you're interested in water reuse, you might want to listen into the live stream or attend the meeting. Okay. Catherine, do you want to mention Confluence?
Yeah, happy to. So for those of you that aren't aware, SCAWWA and the WEA SC chapters that host SCEC, which is, our big environmental conference in March in Myrtle Beach every year, also hosts a smaller conference called Confluence. And the goal of that conference has been to pull together North Carolina, Georgia, and South Carolina for thoughtful conversations around water. So most recently, it was held in Greenville, South Carolina in 23. And then the states all rotate. So this year, because it's held every 2 years, it's in Georgia. So it'll be in Savannah in December. The save the date is out. I have a draft agenda if anybody's curious about what's going to be included, but usually it's a much more it's smaller, more intimate, folks that are passionate about things happening in water and kind of thinking about it kind of a more regional approach. It's I attended the first time in 23 and thought it was a really good conference. So just wanted to give a little plug for that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Be happy to share more information. I think registration will be open in September.
All right, thank you. Okay, public and agency comment. Anyone online? I don't see any public, but any agency comment before we move on? Okay, hearing none, we will move on. Okay, first agenda item we want to do is the test of consensus on the draft plan. Again, that draft plan I circulated a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. We've talked about how we do this test consensus on the draft plan at previous meetings, but I'll remind everybody that we're going to be voting on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 indicates that you fully endorse the plan. A 2 rating indicates you endorse it, but you have some minor points of contention. A 3 would be more major points of contention, but nevertheless, you still support and endorse the plan. And then a 4 and a 5 are reserved for those that don't endorse the plan. You stand aside with reservations, or you withdraw. You don't like the plan and you want to leave. When we go to vote on the final plan, after we've incorporated public comments, it's just either going to be an up or down vote. And both these votes are going to be memorialized in an appendix of the plan itself. So the point of today's process is to kind of go one by one through each of the RBC members, and I've got you all listed here in alphabetical order, and record your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vote on the plan. Several folks that couldn't make it today, and Robert, who I didn't think was going to make it, but actually is online today, actually gave me their vote already. Tate voted a 1, he couldn't make it. Robert, you said you had full endorsement. I'm taking that as a 1, correct?
Yep.
Yep. And then Michael Waddell sent in his vote yesterday or the day before. He was voting a 3. He had some points of contention. And I did get feedback from him on what those points of contention were, and I just wanted to pass those along. He said from his standpoint, which is representing Trout Unlimited, he felt that there was a limitation to the ecological flow analysis because of the lack of data in the Blue Ridge province. And that's important, obviously, for Trout Unlimited, since there's a lot of trout streams up there. He also noted that there was 2 streams in the lower part of the Saluda that weren't included in the surface water quantity model. And those were important for trout. Because of those 2 issues, he felt that, at least from Trout Unlimited standpoint, there's some limitations to the plan, and he wanted to vote a 3. I'll mention that just in regards to the tributaries, and I'm not sure exactly which ones he's referring to, that weren't included in the SWAM model, but are important trout habitats in the lower part of the basin. We purposely didn't include any tributary that didn't have a withdrawal or a major discharge on it. And that was just one of the guiding principles for all the models. Now, that doesn't mean that we couldn't add them in the future. Even if we would have had those tributaries in the model, without any withdrawals or discharges, we wouldn't be simulating any impacts to those. We really wouldn't be considering any management strategies to those. But Michael's point is a good one, that in future phases of study, we may want to update the model or use different models to better evaluate not only impacts to changing flow regimes from withdrawals and discharges, but from changing land use and other things that we've talked about before. So I just wanted to explain Michael's 3 vote on the plan. All right, does anybody have any questions on the process before we walk through and record everybody's test of consensus vote on the draft plan?
Just in light of Michael's vote, can you just give an example of how we should be thinking of minor versus major, just to, I don't know, maybe differentiate the 2 for folks? Because otherwise it's kind of subjective.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's just largely subjective. It's up to each individual member to decide, is their point of contention a major point or a minor point? I can't recall actually having any other 3 votes. They've always been 1 or 2 votes. So I can't really give an example of, other than Michael's vote, why you might vote major and give a 3 versus minor.
No worries. I just thought I'd ask the question. Thanks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don, I might offer one idea on that. This isn't
anything that's enshrined or written down, but one way I can kind of see that is, general support for the majority of what's in the plan, but maybe from a point of view of the organization that you represent, it really doesn't address the concerns that you have. So that doesn't mean that the plan itself as a large document and a large enterprise isn't worthwhile and worthy of being endorsed, but it may not carry that one particular interest to the satisfaction of a person. That's kind of how I've looked at it.
Right. And I'd add too, especially if you have a major point of contention, it is informative to know what that point of contention is, so that we can attempt to address it in future phases of planning. So if you do vote a 3 or even a 2, knowing your minor points of contention would help the planning process in the future. I'm not going to require everyone to say that, but it would be nice to understand that, just so we can make process improvements and better focus the planning subsequent phases. Any other questions before we go through the process? All right, Catherine, you are on the clock.
Yay for marrying somebody with an A last name. I will vote a 2, and my reasoning for a 2 is I represent at large, which means I represent all interest groups, and I think there were some things we had to back down on the original recommendation due to just consensus building. So although consensus is great, and I'm glad we got there, I think as a result of the process, it's only fair for me to vote 2.
Yeah, all right. Jeff Phillips, I think you're here in place of Jeff Boss today.
Yes, we are voting it 2 as well.
All right.
Similar reasons as Catherine stated. Just from a water utility standpoint, there's just some minor contentions.
Understood. I don't think David Coggins is online. Nope, he's not. So I'll reach out to him separately. Same thing with Jason Davis. I don't see him today. I've already got Kate's vote. Phil, you were online.
Yes, I am voting 1 full endorsement. I'm comfortable and satisfied that the modeling was done as well as it could be, and with the long-term outlook and the process, the collaborative process. And so I'm fully endorsing.
All right, thank you, Phil. Brandon.
I'm going to go with a 2 because I think there might have been some areas that could have been improved, but I think basically what Catherine said is the way I feel as well.
All right, thank you. I've already got Robert's vote. Robert, did you want to add anything?
No, sir.
Okay. I don't see Rick online. I'll have to reach out to
He
Rick.
emailed me for the passcode, so he may be on in the next few minutes.
Okay, if he pops on, we'll come back to him. Patrick.
Yep. Yeah, guys, I'm on a vote of 1. I knew coming into it there would be some negotiations, so I appreciate everybody's efforts and contributions.
Thank you, Patrick. I don't see Paul online. I will follow up with Paul.
He was here a second ago.
Was he?
Yeah. He's still on.
Is he? You know what? I don't think my Zoom screen's showing everybody right now. Let me make it bigger. Paul, do you have a vote?
If you're talking, Paul, you're muted.
Yeah. All right, Paul, I'll come back to you. Kevin Miller, I saw in the chat, you put a 1 full endorsement. I think you were having audio problems. And is Larry online? I don't see Larry.
I haven't seen him yet. He asked me for the link yesterday, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Follow up with Larry. Josie, you are online.
Hi, I'd like to vote a 2, please. Overall, I'm happy with it, but I do think that there were some things that were compromised. I'd like to have seen a little bit stronger, but still overall feel comfortable with it. Thanks.
Yep, thank you. Jay is not online, but Guy, I did see you were online.
Yeah, I'm in here, and we're going to be a 2. Sort of like everybody else. We're just never completely satisfied, but we appreciate all the hard work and I know Jay has sent emails with some comments for some footnotes and all. We greatly appreciate that. So thank y'all to everybody.
Okay. Devin. Devin, you're still on mute if you're talking. Devin, I saw you come off of mute. Do you want to use this opportunity to make a vote?
Yes, I will fully endorse.
All right. Thank you, Devin. Eddie?
I am a 2. No, I do appreciate everybody's hard work on this. It was quite a few heated arguments and discussions, and that was all good for us to be able to honestly speak what we think. And but there were a few things on water quality that we would have liked to sway in a different way. So though it's still worthy and it's still good, and there'll be further conversations later, that's where we end up in the.
Casey, you may be frozen.
Am I?
No, I think it was just me. Everybody was
I
frozen.
was about to say, you looked frozen there for a moment. So
I think it was the Santa beard, maybe. Coming back.
Oh, could very well be. We're a 2. Like others, there are a couple things that we felt like could be tweaked, but all in all, I think this has been a great process for us all. I think we've all learned a lot, and I appreciate everybody's diligence in getting to this point, and really realizing that this is truly just the start of it. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, and I appreciate everybody's work today.
All right. Thank you, Casey. I don't know that Melanie's on.
I think she's the phone number, but I'm not positive.
Melanie, are you the 864-270 number? Or is that someone else? You just came off mute, but I can't hear you.
Okay, sorry, there we go. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, I'm in my car in Atlanta. I appreciate everyone's very hard work. This has been a very complete and thorough process with great representation from all of the stakeholder groups, great discussions. I'm going to tentatively vote a 2, and I would like to confirm that tomorrow, if that's okay. I've been out of pocket for the last several weeks, so if I could vote a tentative 2, please.
Yeah, I will follow
tomorrow.
up with you. I will follow up with you after the meeting when I had a chance to confirm your vote. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Kaylee.
We are voting a 1, full endorsement. We really appreciate the amount of time and effort people put into this.
Thank you, Kaylee. I don't know that I've seen Thompson. Is Thompson online?
Not that I've seen.
No, he's not. Okay, I will follow up with Thompson.
Rhett should be here.
Yep, I saw both Julie and Rhett, and now I see Rhett. Rhett?
Hi, I'd vote it 2. I think it's been a good process. I think overall good. Everything's good. Just thoughts I'd vote it 2.
All right, thank you, Rhett. Charlie, I saw your 1 vote in the chat. I'll put that down. And then Rebecca.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great. I'll be voting a 2 for very similar reasons that Catherine and Josie stated. Mostly just because the nature of finding consensus for these recommendations was in compromise. So I think we compromised some of the strength of these recommendations, especially at the policy level. But overall, I'm very satisfied with the process, and I'm very grateful to work with all of you.
Great. Thank you, Rebecca. And I will mention Rebecca and Michael both pointed out that not in the executive summary, but in the plan chapter, we had an acknowledgements page and we cut the 2 W names off the bottom. So I've added them back. That's one change. Robert has also sent me A few minor grammatical edits. Sometimes we've used the wrong version of there, or we left an S off, or some other just minor issues that we will address. None of those impact the content of the plan. And thank you, Robert, for being a very thorough reviewer. I much appreciate that. Okay, I will follow up with the remaining 6 or 7, and I'm going to give Paul Lewis one last chance. If you want to unmute and give me your vote, Paul. He may be having audio problems or is not able. So I'll follow up with Paul at a later date. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on. Next item, I want to do a quick review of membership and term limits. We've been doing this in every RBC as we wind down the process, just to get an idea of the members, primarily the members that have 2-year term limits, whether they want to continue on or if they intend to drop off, and that helps DES potentially decide where they need to fill in holes, which interest categories they need to fill in. And that's assuming the RBC planning process continues. So I want to mainly just query the members that have a 2-year term, which are identified in red here. Technically, your term ended in March, but I think we previously discussed a while back that we would at least continue through this first phase, even though we're a couple months beyond March. When you decide to re-up your term, the terms begin a 3-year term. So we staggered them at the initial part, but then new terms are 3 years. They're all 3 years. So from the folks that have 2-year terms, I'd like to ask, would you like to stay on, assuming the planning process continues in this format, for another 3-year term subject to approval by DES? Jason's not here, Tate's not here. Phil, do you intend to, or Duke Energy intend to?
I haven't, I'm representing Duke Energy, of course. I expect we will want to continue to be represented with this committee. I will say tentatively say yes, and we'll let you know if anything changes about that.
Okay. And Robert, you had a 2-year term.
So at the pleasure of the group, since ag is already well supported, I would like to offer to, since most of my professional career has been as a consultant to industry, I would like to offer my services to the RBC as a representative of industry, which is an underrepresented group in this RBC.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. Patrick.
Yeah, I'm in, John. I've talked to my new employer. They're supportive of it, so I'd be happy to serve.
Okay. Devin. Devin, we can come back to you. If not, you're still muted. Okay, we'll move on. Melanie. And Melanie, I know you're driving, so if you can chime in, that's great. If not, I can follow up with you later.
Yeah, I can chime in. I want to be very clear on the time obligation for the next 3 years if I decide to stay engaged.
Yeah, I can't give you much indication on what the time commitment would be. The planning framework, I think, suggests a minimum of 2 RBC meetings per year. I think a lot of it just depends on funding that's available and how much you get into implementation. The time commitment would certainly be much less than what the last 2 years have been, but I can't say for certain whether you'd have 4 meetings or 2 meetings or what.
Okay, but definitely not the monthly or every other month.
Most certainly not monthly.
Okay, all right. Then yes, I would be honored to continue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Melanie. And then Rhett.
Yes, I'd like to continue.
Okay. Okay. For those that have 3 or 4-year terms, based on your initial term limit, we would assume you would continue, but are anybody with a 3-year or 4-year term needing or considering dropping out after this first phase?
John?
Yeah.
Sorry, my neighbor knocked on my door right as you were asking about my term limit. I
No
apologize
worries.
about that. I have switched roles to SCRWA, so I'm no longer in the environmental natural resource side. So I think that my term limit is appropriate.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. If others that have a 3-year or 4-year term limit and want to think about it longer and get back to me, I'll update this list. And again, I'm just mainly updating this to provide to DES to help set up potential future phases of planning and let them know where to fill in gaps. So thank you all for that input. Let's move on. Last agenda item is talking about the public meeting presentation and having a discussion around the coordination of the public meeting. It is still planned for Thursday, the 29th. The meeting itself would be 6 o'clock. Prior to that, Catherine and Kaylee have arranged for a walking tour. Catherine or Kaylee, do you want to talk a little bit about that? What the plan is prior to the 6 o'clock meeting?
I know Kaylee might have had to jump, but are you with us, Kaylee?
I'm still here.
Okay, cool. Do you want to talk about it?
Well, so we're just offering up a short walking tour over to go and see our clean water mural that Rewa's painted on one of our assets at our treatment facility. So we've opened up we're opening up a centennial walking trail through our campus, and we'll just do a little bit of an educational guided tour for those that want to walk and learn about Rewa or water that we help protect.
Sounds good.
It's epic. I've had the opportunity to see it already, and it's really,
It's
really
beautiful.
cool.
Okay,
And
Catherine, you want to mention? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, so we're kind of we're working with Scott Harder and team to develop kind of a little flyer that can be posted on LinkedIn, can be posted on social media, can also just be sent as an email attachment with the full agenda, which is this with a little bit more detail. I proposed that we have the walking tour kind of wrap up just a little bit before 6, and then knowing that nobody's ever on time for these things, really maybe starting that formal presentation more around 6:15 to give people the opportunity to get settled in and use the bathroom and get a snack and all of the things, and then have the actual Q&A kind of at the end. So I've given Scott a slightly different version of the agenda, which I can just paste right into the chat for everybody to see. So as soon as we get that, which should be as soon as possible, my goal is that if just kind of kindly ask everybody that's on the RBC to get the word out. We really want people to come to this meeting and feel welcome and feel like it's an opportunity for them to provide input and comment and ask questions and all of the things. So yeah, I have, do you want to talk about our needs, or do you want to save that for the end?
We can do that now.
Now? Okay. So, we have secured some lovely fresh drinking water straight from Rewa's effluent. No, I'm just kidding. Jeff Foss and Jeff Phillips have kindly agreed to provide carafes of water from Greenville Water. So we will be serving utility proud fresh water from our basin, which to me is like non-negotiable. Like, we can't have bottled water at this event. So really thankful for them doing that. I would like to, the way Rewa's facility works is it's really awesome and beautiful, but we need to kind of provide our own stuff. So I have a list of things that we need, and I will send a follow-up email also. But ideally, I'd like to have some giveaways. I'm going to bring a Bluetooth speaker as a giveaway that we can provide as Bolton and Mink. We need some cups. I was hoping we could have kind of those like reusable ones, like the stainless steel ones that they provide at the BMW Pro-Am. So I have a connection there, so I might be able to ask, but if anybody has connections to that or willing to donate them if you have them, that would be great. And then I think it would be nice to have something sweet and something salty, so people have a snack. This is around dinner time. It's nice to feed people at a public meeting and give them something to eat. So with all those needs, if you already know you can do something, it would be great if you could unmute and tell us right now, so we can kind of start logging that. But it would be super helpful if everybody could assist in making this event successful.
Catherine, I know you and I really haven't talked about that, or this just popped into my head, as a matter of fact. Is there an opportunity for those folks who don't have stuff to donate funds to do this?
Great. I'm glad you just brought that up. I would happily take cash from you and I will do the shopping if that's easier, and just take all the other stuff off of your plate if that's something that you can do too. And that's easier for organizations, obviously, that have a bigger funding budget, not expecting everybody to do that, but
yep.
Thank you.
Catherine, this is Melanie. Have y'all reached out are you interested in perhaps a boat? And if so, have you reached out to Confluence? They gave us a whole bunch of boats. They couldn't give away enough boats to us one year. They had a tremendous inventory that they were trying to get rid of, and they might very well be willing to donate a boat for a raffle giveaway or something.
Awesome.
Just a thought.
If you have the contact information, I would love to have it, and I'd be happy to reach out.
Okay, I can dig that up and find it for you.
Perfect, thank you.
Just so I heard that right, was that a boat, B-O-A-T?
Yeah, like a kayak, like a recreational kayak, maybe a kayak and a paddle. That's what we could ask for.
Got it. That's nice.
Okay. I can't promise, but
it's just John hears boat and he thinks yacht.
Exactly. But yeah.
No, that would be really great. I mean, anything to do with water is kind of cool, so I love that.
Catherine, what quantities and what type of packaging are you looking for? Individually wrapped snacks or bowls of snacks that people dip their fingers in?
Not that. Individually wrapped, like chips or popcorn or candy or pretzels or anything like that is good. I mean, if somebody is like, I'd be happy to get a Publix cake, that's fine too, because it can be cut and put on a plate. I just want to know what people are willing to bring, and then we can figure out all the other things that we need to acquire, like napkins and plates and such. And Casey and I are just going to fill in the blanks at the end, so.
And are you
love a tax write-off.
anticipating, so like 100 packs of something or 50 packs of something? I'm curious what sort of crowd would be? I know what crowd we would hope for, but what is a realistic expectation? So
Yeah.
So
I think that's a great question. I think these haven't been well attended for a variety of reasons. And so this is kind of my push for approaching this in a different way, offering something as a way to give back to the public that shows up, like this walking tour, providing snacks, doing the raffle. All of these things have not been attempted yet. So we're, kind of in uncharted territory. I'm hoping with the network that this group brings and the passion that this team of folks that we all are has, I would be really disappointed, honestly, if like 50 people didn't show up to this. But that's me. Like, we should shoot for the stars here. Like, we want people to come.
I will commit to some sort of snacks, salty, sweet, something like that.
Okay. Just let me know what you decide on. Thanks, Rob.
This is just my 2 cents. This is a guy that it might just be, instead of people bringing snacks and have to go get it, I mean, they're gonna have to pay for it anyhow, just to get it. What you think is a monetary amount to have snacks and have stuff, and just ask for some donations, and people can, you're not talking about much money, and then you know what you got. We got everything straight, not relying on somebody to bring their snack to them. Just my 2 cents, just trying to make it easy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy if people want to just give me money. I just didn't want to directly ask for that, but I'm happy to do the coordinating and figure it all out. But if somebody is like, oh, I have a hookup here and can get this thing, I didn't want to shy away from that either. I can put my Venmo account information in the chat here and also send it via email.
If Catherine gets enough donations, she'll have food trucks out there.
Yes, I'm here for that. Automatic taco, let's go.
Catherine, do you have an idea what kind of budget you need?
I mean, I can work with anything. Like a couple $100 would be great.
Okay.
Okay. I think she undersold herself.
Anything else you want to mention, Catherine?
Nope. I'll send a follow-up email to everybody so
Okay.
people can circle back with me afterwards. But yeah, thank you. I really appreciate everybody's kind of openness for trying something new and hoping that this is a successful event.
Locally sourced bourbon would be preferred.
I'm not going to argue with that at all. But I would encourage everybody, when you're in places where you're discussing, the work we're doing with your peer groups and all, please encourage folks to attend, whether it's your church, your Boy Scout group. It doesn't just need to be water folks, because this impacts everybody. Certainly, if you have a board, encourage your board. We will certainly be reaching out as a group, both to Water SC membership and also the Surface Water Study Committee, to invite them so that folks in the area can certainly participate, to see what an RBC in action looks like. But I really encourage you to get the word out. Me and my 5 TikTok followers will all be well informed about this. So if you have more followers, please invite them. I don't have 5.
Okay, last thing I want to do is do a quick review of speaking roles for the public meeting presentation portion. And I'm going to do a quick run through the presentation, not the same amount of time we spent last time, but we've made some updates. Casey, you're still going to kick things off. Scott or Joe, in the past, I think Scott, or early on it was Ken Rentiers, but Scott, are you still comfortable doing the overview of the planning process, or Joe, did you want to do that, either one?
I'm okay to do it, but I'll let Joe weigh in.
That's fine by me.
Okay. Okay, Catherine, then you would pick up with the vision goals, and I'll show you, I've added a spot for you to put in a slide about, I can't remember what it was. We'll get to it in a second, but we'll go through that. Phil, you would be doing surface water availability, so kind of a summary of the modeling. I think you had volunteered for that. So still on
Yes.
it?
So you're gonna have prepared slides, right? No, I don't need to prepare.
Yeah, I'm going to show them to you in just a second, but yes, we will have
Okay.
prepared for you. And you're obviously, anybody that's speaking is certainly can tweak them to their liking if they'd like. Kevin, who may not be able to unmute, had said he would talk about the streamflow ecology relationships. There's 2 slides there. So Kevin, I can talk about that with you later if needed. And he said he's still good for that. Good. Okay. Jeff Boss and Thompson are going to speak to the water management strategy slide. Jeff Phillips, I'm assuming Jeff Boss is still comfortable doing that.
Yeah, if not, I'll be there. So. Yeah,
Melanie.
he is. I'll remind him.
Okay, sounds good. Melanie, if you're still on, you had indicated you'd be willing to talk about at least the policy recommendation slides. Hopefully you're willing to talk about maybe all of the recommendations. And again, we just pull out a few examples. You still comfortable with that?
Yeah, I can do that.
We are. Yep.
You're
Good.
You're gonna need to give me a time limit. Give me a time limit.
All right.
Just kidding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. And then Robert, we had a slide or two on the implementation plan. You're still comfortable talking about that and kind of the call to action, right?
Call to action. Yes.
Good. Okay. So following the formal presentation, then we do a public Q&A, and we're going to try to do it so we leave at least a half hour, especially if we get Catherine's goal of 50 people there or more. We need to make sure we've got plenty of time for Q&A. Let me just quickly pull up the public meeting presentation slides. That's not Ken, that's KC at the bottom. But at the bottom, you'll see who's going to be speaking to what slide. Let me make this a little bigger. So KC, you're opening things up. We'll go through the agenda, welcome and introductions. Whoops, sorry, jumping around here. KC, you will introduce the RBC. If RBC members are attending, we'll ask you to stand up to be recognized at that point. You would turn it over to Scott, and Scott would review the planning process. Catherine, you had suggested we put in the timeline slide, so I've pulled that in. So Scott, this is a little different than what you presented at previous RBC public meetings, but you have used these same slides before for other presentations. So overview of the two timeline slides here. One goes up to the start of the Edisto, and then the second one starts with the RBC, the Saluda RBC beginning and introduces water SC. And I've tweaked this one a little bit from what you had, Catherine, but this one's more focused on water SC and the Saluda timeline.
Looks great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then Scott, these are all the same slides that you've had before, just another timeline showing the status of each basin. Overview of the planning framework, the importance of 8 different interest categories, the importance of stakeholder involvement, what is a river basin plan, and then Scott, you had suggested this one after the PD meeting to make sure everybody understands focus of current phase of planning was on quantity, not quality. However, that's still important. And then a quick overview of each phase. So then you would turn it over to Catherine. Catherine, you'd pick it up with an overview of what we're going to tell them about the plan itself, which is this. And then I think you'd wanted a slide that you said you would create to kind of humanize the process, talk about how many hours were invested, that type of thing. So I'll let you add to this slide. I'll send you this after the meeting.
Awesome. And if you can send me the updated attendance tracker, I don't know if that's you or Tom, but I'd love to have that information too.
RBC attendance, you mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm just going to kind of ballpark some hours, because I think when you add it all up, people will be like, wow, that's really a huge value. So
yeah, I will send that to you. I need to update it for the last several meetings, but
okay, thanks. No rush.
Vision statement, goals, demand summary slides, key findings, our projections, and then you would turn it over to Phil. And Phil, you'd just give a quick introduction to the fact that we've been using a surface water quantity model to do the evaluations and look at both current and future demands and permanent and registered demands. So Phil, you've got that slide, and then you've got just an overall key findings slide with some summary bullets. And then Phil, I've reordered these just a little bit. If you're still willing and comfortable talking about the 2 extended drought scenarios, I've got 2 slides for that. And I can walk through these with you if you'd like, just to explain what I think the important outcomes were. The second slide I've tweaked a little bit. Are you still comfortable talking about these as well under the water availability discussion?
Yeah, sure. I'm comfortable. Yeah, notes. You know, in PowerPoint, there's some. I don't know if you could add notes or like
Yeah, I can add
maybe
stuff,
two
yeah.
bullets per slide or something. The highlights.
Will do. Yep, I'll do that for you. Okay, stream flow ecology. This would be you, Kevin. We've got introductory slide, and then we've got a summary slide, kind of highlighting what we found. And in this one, we're indicating, you know, there was a couple limitations. We didn't have data for the Blue Ridge portion. And this analysis doesn't consider changes to the flow regime from land use changes. So we want to make sure everybody understands what this analysis accounted for and what it didn't account for. Okay, and then Jeff Boss would talk about some examples of municipal water management strategies, and Thompson would hopefully talk about agricultural strategies and how those are used. And then we get into recommendations, and Melanie, we've got a handful of recommendation slides focusing on examples for technical and program recommendations, planning process, and then policy, legislative, and regulatory. And Melanie, we also have a slide on identify issues, challenges, and threats, and I think this one's appropriate for you to talk about as well, since one of the issues and challenges is the 14-mile Saluda River section below Saluda Lake. So you can certainly speak to that one. Melanie would turn it over then to Robert. Robert, you just introduced the implementation plan and the overarching objectives behind it. There's an example slide that you can point out that we have identified specific actions and responsible parties to assist with the implementation. And then you had suggested a call to action slide, and I haven't created that slide necessarily yet, but we can work together to put in some content here to kind of wrap things up. Okay, Robert, then you would turn it over to Tom, and Tom can walk through the process of submitting plan comments. Once the plans get posted, we'll have a link to it, either a QR code or a tiny URL or something that's easy to remember. I'll fill in the date and time later, and that would wrap it up. Everybody comfortable with that? Any other comments or suggestions?
So my only suggestion is in the call to action, maybe add a graphic.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put something together and send it to you to react to, and you can tweak it if you like. I just put in a placeholder for now.
Yeah,
so
great. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Okay. If
Are we
everybody's
going to have?
comfortable, go ahead.
Sorry, are we going to have time at the end for questions? And then can they also provide written feedback if they so choose?
Yes. So Tom Walker is going to MC the Q&A portion, and we're going to at least try to have a half hour for Q&A. We may end up with a little longer. Hopefully we end up with a little longer, especially if we have a good turnout. But Tom, and you can't see it, Melanie, I'm sorry, but I'm sharing a slide that has the information on how you email or mail in your comments to Tom. He will talk about the comment period itself, when it starts, when it ends, and then he'll open it up to take comments from the meeting attendees after that.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Hey, John, may I make a quick suggestion?
Sure, go ahead, Kurt.
It's great that so many different people are speaking from different perspectives. And it's odd that a public meeting like this would draw a lot of young people, but if there's one or two young people there, I think take every opportunity you can to share a little bit about your profession and how interesting it is, and try to get some new young people engaged. If you have time to connect with them afterwards, all the better. But these are good opportunities. They don't always work out, but if there do happen to be some young people there, I would highly encourage you to do that. We've been.
I like that you just brought that up, and it kind of reminded me too that have any of the previous meetings have kids showed up?
Not that I recall. At the PD, Tom, was there any kids? No. Okay. No.
Do you think we should state somewhere that, like, I mean, we don't want people, bringing all the children, but like if somebody can't come without bringing their child, I don't want them to not come. And we could also provide like a coloring sheet with some crayons or something like on the water cycle or something. I'm happy to do that if you think that's good to have.
We may have water-friendly coloring books here that could be utilized. I thought you were going to say a bouncy house or face painting or something like that. So.
I mean, if you're volunteering to paint faces, Casey, I would pay to see that.
And Catherine, Casey, the Conservation District likely has materials too. If you'll shoot me an email, I will be reminded to check with district staff and see what they might have available.
Great.
And we've also, at Friends of the Reedy, we've got some coloring sheets and some extra crayons that I'm happy to bring.
If any of you have connections to any high schools, I've had some success in the past reaching out to high school science teachers and just having them let their kids know that, hey, this is going on if anybody's interested. A lot of high schools have environmental clubs. They can show up to things like this. So it's just a way to get more people engaged. It doesn't always succeed the way we would like it to, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Kirk, that's an interesting thought. And again, you've got to forgive me because I'm an old man and I'm forgetful. But again, if you would shoot me an email, there are 2 high schools in the area that have Envirothon teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I will ask the Conservation District to reach out to them as well. And
Okay.
there may be a couple of schools that have FFA chapters. I know Hillcrest used to, and it might be reasonable to reach out to them. So let me, if you'll shoot me an email, I will reach out to high schools in the area.
I will do that.
On it.
Just another thought.
Herman has
Go ahead.
Melanie, what were you going to?
Herman has an environmental action group. They're fairly active. They might be interested.
Melanie, this is Josie. I was just about to say that. I've got a current intern from Furman who is the leader of the outdoors club there and then also engaged in the EAG. So I'm planning to send it along to her to share with those students.
Perfect. Thank you.
Brandon, you were going to add something.
Yeah, I was going to say the Boy Scouts, the Blue Ridge Council, we could probably send out an invite to maybe a Life Scout or a Star Scout. That way they're a little more mature and, they could be working on their environmental merit badge or some kind of water resource merit badge. I can't remember. It's been 10 years since I've been a Scoutmaster, but we could, offer something like that to them in case that's one of their progress, I guess, check boxes that they need to do is attend something or see something for environmental, such as water flow or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's a great point. And I think the larger point, Brandon, is that young people who come to them because they're motivated for this kind of work, and they'll often volunteer to continue to do things that they're able to do. And if 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 100 turns it into a career, then wow, one meeting has given 40 years to our profession. So I always look at it from a sort of the long game point of view. But in the short term, there are clubs that can turn this into class projects. There are scouts that can turn it into badge projects and things like that. So some of the local outreach and more localized activities can actually become implemented through some of these organizations. So I think it's a good idea.
Well, now that we're
I was just going to say, John, just to make it super clear, like as soon as I get this flyer from Scott, I'm going to make this so easy for all of you. I'm going to draft an email that you can send. I'm gonna like make it really easy for you to, like, if you want to post it on LinkedIn, you can post it on LinkedIn. I'll even I'll do it first, so all you have to do is then share my post. Like, we're gonna make this so easy that sharing takes 5 minutes, and all you have to do is just put some fingers out there, and that would be greatly appreciated.
Now I feel compelled to ask Kaylee, how many people will the room hold that we're going to be using?
That room holds close to 200 employees for our employee events, so we should be good. As long as we're just putting out chairs. Now, if we start to put out a ton of tables and chairs, then it gets smaller.
Okay, now I think we just need chairs, so. Okay, even with a boat giveaway and inviting all K through 12 and local colleges and the Boy Scouts, and Girl Scouts, and my sister and everybody else, I think we'll be okay. All right. Let me switch back to their presentation, but I think that's all we had to cover. Just a quick review of the calendar. We're gonna try to make final edits to the plan and release that maybe by Friday or at worst early next week. Again, if you're interested, the Upper Savannah has their public meeting on Monday. Water SC meetings on the 24th. The May Water SCD meetings on the 15th. Your meeting is on Thursday, the 29th. Anyone have anything else? That's all I had to cover. Casey, Catherine, any other RBC members have anything to bring up?
I don't believe so.
No? Okay, well, I really appreciate everybody's time today. This is our 24th meeting, so technically we finished exactly in 24 meetings, which was what the plan was. Congratulations. I will say that I think you all by far have been the most engaged RBC of all the RBCs. I really appreciate all of your input, your ability to work together and to come to consensus. You had the highest level of engagement throughout the process as well. So pat yourselves on the back for that. It's been, I think, a very good process to work with you all. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, John. And we certainly couldn't have done the good work we've done without you and Tom and members of DNR, now DES, Scott and his group, and Alexis. I appreciate everybody's help in getting this done. I, again, look forward to the implementation, look forward to how the process is going to continue in the future. And I hope we continue to lead by example of, not only what an RBC was originally thought to be, but what we certainly can be. So unless anybody else has something else to add, look forward to seeing everybody on the 29th at the latest, if our paths don't cross before that. And Catherine, do you have anything else at this time?
No, thank you for your comments, Casey. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't also thank you for being such a gracious host for the majority of our meetings and providing us healthy snacks to keep us going, or maybe some not so healthy snacks also. So thank you so much. And I'm really grateful to all of you for being so present and continuing to be present. 2 years is a long time, and planning for 50 years in the future is inherently hard for humans to do. So nice job, team. Thank you.
Well, and we all know that Catherine is really the brains and the brawn behind this effort. I'm just the eye candy. So on that happy note, I would entertain a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
You do remember this is recorded, right?
I want it to be there forever and ever.
Hilarious.
Nobody wants
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Very good. I've got a motion in the second. All those in favor, just log off.
Aye.
Y'all take care.
Aye.
All right.
You all.
Thanks, everyone.